Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, shall we go back into Mattithyahu? We're doing chapter 11 through chapter 19. Here we go. I'm sorry I don't have words to put on the screen for you to follow. But if you have scripture, I have hallelujah scriptures, but anyway, you can follow along in that way because, I'm not very techy and this is the best I can do. Here we go. Starting with chapter 11. And it came to be when Yahushua ended instructing his 12 Talmudim that he departed from there to teach and to proclaim in their cities. And when Yochanan had heard in the prison of the works of Mashiach, he sent 2 of his Talmudim and said to him, "Are you the coming one, or do we look for another?" Yahushua answering said to them, "Go, report to Yochanan what you hear and see. Blind receive sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised up, and poor are brought the good news. And Baruch is he who does not stumble in me." And as these were going, Yahushua began to say to the crowds concerning Yochanan, "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft garments?" Oops. Sorry about that. Look, those wearing fine softness are in the houses of sovereigns. But what did you go out to see? A Navi? Yes, I say to you, and more than a Navi, for this is he of whom it was written. See, I send my messenger before your face, who shall prepare your way before you. Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than Yochanan the Immerser. Yet the least one in the reign of the Shamayim is greater than he. And from the days of Yochanan the Immerser till now, the reign of the Shamayim is violated, and the violent seize it. For all the Nevi'im in the Torah Navu till Yochanan, and if you want to accept it, he is Eliyahu, who is about to come. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And to what shall I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplace and calling to their companions and saying, "We played the flute for you and you did not dance. We lamented, for you, and you did not beat the breast. For Yochanan came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, he has a demon. The Bane of Adam came eating and drinking, and then they say, see, a man, a glutton, and a wine drinker, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. And wisdom was declared right by her works." Then he began to reproach the cities in which most of his miracles had been done, because they did not repent. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bet Sadeh! Because of the miracles which were done in you had been done in Besorah and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say to you, it shall be more bearable for Besorah and Sidon in the day of judgment than for you. And you, Kephar Nahum, who were exalted to the Shamayim, shall be brought down to the grave, because if the miracles which were done in you had been done in Sedom, it would have remained until this day. But I say to you that it shall be more bearable for the land of Sedom in the day of judgment than for you. At that time, Yahushua responding said, I thank you, Father, Adon of the Shamayim and earth, because you have hidden these from clever and learned ones and have revealed them to children. Yes, Father, because so it was well-pleasing in your sight. All have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the bane except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the bane, and he to whom the bane wants to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I shall give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your beings. For my yoke is gentle, and my burden is light. Chapter 12. At that time, Yahushua went through the grain fields on the Shabbat, and his Talmudim were hungry and began to pluck heads of grain to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your Talmudim are doing what is not right to do on the Shabbat." And he said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he went into the house of the Most High and ate the showbread which was not right for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the Kohanim? Or did you not read in the Torah that on the Shabbat, the Kohanim in the Mikdash profane the Shabbat and are blameless? But I say to you that in this place there is one greater than the Mikdash. And if you had known what this means, I desire compassion and not offering, you would not have condemned the blameless. For the bane of Adam is Adon of the Shabbat." And having left there, he went into their congregation, and see, there was a man having a withered hand. And they asked him, saying, "Is it right to heal on the Shabbat?" So as to accuse him. And he said to them, "What man is there among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Shabbat, shall not take hold of it and lift it out? How much more worth is a man than a sheep? So it is right to do good on the Shabbat." Then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and it was restored as healthy as the other. The Pharisees went out and took counsel against him as to destroy him. Yeah, clearly this is jealousy. But Yahushua, knowing it, withdrew from there, and large crowds followed him, and he healed them all, and warned them not to make him known, in order that what was spoken by Yeshayahu the Navi might be filled, saying, "See, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my being delights. I shall put my ruach upon him, and he shall declare right ruling to the nations. He shall not strive nor cry out, nor shall anyone hear his voice in the streets. A crushed reed he shall not break, and smoking flax he shall not quench, till he brings forth right ruling forever. And the nations shall trust in his name." Then they brought to him one who was demon-possessed, blind and dumb, and he healed him, so that the blind and dumb man both spoke and saw. And all the crowds were amazed and said, "Is this the bane of David?" But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, "This one does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the ruler." Beelzebub, whatever, the ruler of the demons. Yahushua knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then does his reign stand? And if I, by Beelzebul, cast out demons, by who do your sons cast them out? Because of this, they shall be your judges. But if I cast out demons by the Ruach of the Most High, then the reign of the Most High has come upon you. Or how is one able to enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods, unless he first binds the strong man, and then he shall plunder his house? He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters abroad. Because of this I say to you, all sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Ruach shall not be forgiven men. And whoever speaks a word against the bane of Adam, it shall be forgiven him. But whoever speaks against the Ruach HaKodesh, it shall not be forgiven him, neither in this age, nor in the age to come. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree rotten and its fruit rotten. For a tree is known by its fruit. Brood of adders, how are you able to speak what is good, being wicked? For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. The good man brings forth what is good from the good treasures of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked from the wicked treasure. And I say to you that for every idle word men speak, they shall give an account of it in the day of judgment. For by your words you shall be declared righteous, and by your words you shall be declared unrighteous. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees answered, saying, Teacher, we want to see a sign from you. But he answering said to them, a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the Navi Yana. For as Yana was 3 days and 3 nights in the stomach of the great fish, so shall the bane of Adam be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Men of Nineveh shall stand up in the judgment with this generation and condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Yana, and look, a greater than Yana is here. The sovereigness of the south shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Shelemah, and look, a greater than Shelemah is here. Now when the unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Then it says, I shall return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds it empty, swept, and decorated. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they enter and dwell there, and the last of that man is worse than the first. So shall it also be with this wicked generation. And while he was still talking to the crowds, see, his mother and brothers stood outside seeking to speak with him. And one said to him, see, your mother and your brothers are standing outside seeking to speak with you. But he answering said to the one who spoke to him, who is my mother and who are my brothers? And having stretched out his hand toward his talmidim, he said, see, my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the desire of my Father, who is in the Shamayim, is my brother and sister and mother. Chapter 13. Excuse me. It's hard to be comfortable. And on that day, Hadashah went out of the house and sat by the sea, and large crowds were gathered together to him, so that he went into a boat and sat down, and all the crowd stood on the beach. And he spoke to them much in parables, saying, see, the sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Others fell in rocky places where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered. Others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell in good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the talmidim came and said to him, why do you speak to them in parables? And he answering said to them, because it has been given to you to know the secrets of the reign of the Shamayim, but to them it has not been given. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But whoever does not possess, even what he possesses shall be taken away from him. Because of this I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the nevuah of Yeshayahu is completely filled, which says, hearing you shall hear and by no means understand, and seeing you shall see and by no means perceive. For the heart of this people has become thickened, and their ears are hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their heart and turn back, and I heal them. And Baruch are you, and Baruch are your eyes, because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you, that many Nevi'im and righteous ones long to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. You then hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the rain and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is that sown by the wayside. And that sown on rocky places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived. And when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. And that sown among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the worry of this age and the deceit of riches choke the word, and it becomes fruitless. And that sown on the good soil is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Another parable he put before them, saying, the rain of the Shamayim has become like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed darnel among the wheat and went away. And when the blade sprouted and bore fruit, then the darnel also appeared. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then does it have the darnel? And he said to them, a man, an enemy, did this. And the servants said to him, do you want then that we should go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while you gather up the darnel, you also uproot the wheat with it. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, I shall say to you, the reapers, first gather the darnel and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my granary. Another parable he put before them, saying, the rain of the Shamayim is like a mustard seed when a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is less than all the seeds. But when it is grown, it is greater than the plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of Shamayim come and dwell in its branches. Another parable he spoke to them. The rain of the Shamayim is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until it was leavened. Yahushua said all this to the crowds in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable, so that what was spoken by the Navi might be filled, saying, I shall open my mouth in parables. I shall pour forth what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. Then having sent the crowds away, Yahushua went into the house, and his Talmudim came to him, saying, explain to us the parable of the darnel of the field. And he answering said to them, he who is sowing the good seed is the bane of Adam, and the field is the world. The good seed, these are the sons of the rain, but the darnel are the sons of the wicked one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the messengers. As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of this age. The bane of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine forth as the sun in the reign of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the reign of the Shamayim is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man having found it hid, and for joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the reign of the Shamaim is like a man, a merchant, seeking fine pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the reign of the Shamaim is like a dragnet that was thrown into the sea and gathered some of every kind, which, when it was filled, they drew to shore, and they sat down and gathered the good into containers, but threw the rotten away. Thus it shall be at the end of the age. The messengers shall come forth and separate the wicked out of the midst of the righteous, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And I just want to say that for those people thinking there's such a thing as a rapture, well, from reading this, what do you think? Yahusha said to them, "Have you understood all this?" They said to him, "Yes, Adonai." And he said to them, "Therefore, every scholar taught in the reign of the Shamaim is like a householder who brings out of his treasure renewed and old." And it came to be when Yahusha had ended these parables that he left there. And when he had come to his own country, he taught them in their assemblies, so that they were astonished and said, "Where did this one get wisdom and miracles? Is this not the son of the carpenter? Is not his mother called Miriam, and his brothers Yaakov and Yosef and Shimon and Yehudah? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this one get all this?" And they stumbled at him. But Yahusha said to them, "A Navi is not unappreciated except in his own country and in his own house." And he did not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. Chapter 14. At that time, Herodes, the district ruler, heard the report about Yahusha and said to his servants, "This is Yochanan the Immerser. He has risen from the dead, and that is why these mighty powers are at work in him." For Herodes had arrested Yochanan, bound him, and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philippo's wife. For Yochanan had said to him, "It is not right for you to have her." And wanting to kill him, he feared the crowd, because they held him as a Navi. But as Herodes' birthday, the birthday, was being held, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herodes. So he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. And she, being urged on by her mother, said, Give me here the head of Yochanan the Immerser on a dish." And the sovereign was sad, but because of the oaths and the guests, he commanded it to be given, and sent and beheaded Yochanan in prison. His head was brought on a dish and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. His Talmudim came and took away the body and buried it, and went and reported to Yahusha. Now when Yahusha heard it, he withdrew from there by boat to a deserted place by himself. And when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And when Yahusha came out, he saw a large crowd and was moved with compassion for them and healed their sick. And when evening came, his Talmudim came to him saying, "This is a deserted place and the hour is already late. Dismiss the crowds so that they might go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Yahusha said to them, "They do not need to go away. Give them to eat yourselves." And they said to him, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. And he said, "Bring them here to me." And commanding the crowds to all sit down on the grass, and taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he, looking up to the Shamaim, he barak and broke and gave the loaves to the Talmudim, and the Talmudim gave to the crowds. And all ate and were filled, satisfied, and they picked up the pieces left over, 12 baskets filled. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, and that's besides women and children. And immediately Yahusha made his Talmudim enter into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And having dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountain by himself to pray. And another thing I'd like to say, Those of you thinking that the Father and the Son are the same being, let me ask you, if that's the case, then why would he go to pray? Anyway, and when evening had come, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, agitated by the waves, for the wind was against it. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahusha went to them, walking on the water. And when the Talmudim saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a phantom." And from fear they cried. But immediately Yahusha spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." Kepha answered him and said, "Adonai, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And when Kepha had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Yahusha. But when he saw that the wind was strong, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried out, saying, "Adonai, save me." And immediately Yahusha stretched out his hand and took hold of him and said to him, "O you of little belief, why did you doubt?" And when they came into the boat, the wind ceased. And those in the boat came and bowed to him, saying, "Truly you are the bane of Yahweh." And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all the surrounding country and brought to him all who were sick and begged him to let them only touch the seat of his garment. And as many as touched it were completely healed. Chapter 15. When there came to Yahusha scribes and Pharisees from Jerusalem, saying, "Why do your Talmudim transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands before they eat bread." But he answering said to them, "Why do you also transgress the commands of the Most High because of your tradition? For Yahweh has commanded, saying, 'Respect your father and your mother,' and 'He who curses father or mother, let him be put to death.' But you say, whoever says to his father or mother, 'Whatever profits you might have received from me has been dedicated.'" Let me try that again. But you say, whoever says to his father or mother, "Whatever profit you might have received from me has been dedicated," is certainly released from respecting his father or mother. So you have nullified the command of Yahweh by your tradition. Hypocrites! Yeshayahu rightly navu about you, saying, "This people draw near to me with their mouth and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men." And calling the crowd near, he said to them, "Hear and understand. Not that which goes into the mouth defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles the man." That little member right there. Uh-huh. Oh, my nose is itching. And calling the crowd near, he said to them, "Hear and understand." Okay. Then his Talmudim came. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Okay. Then his Talmudim came and said to him, "Do you know that the Pharisees stumbled when they heard this word?" But he answering said, "Every plant which my Father of the Shamayim has not planted shall be uprooted. Leave them alone. They are blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind leads the blind, both shall fall into a ditch." And Kepha answering said to him, "Explain this parable to us." Yahweh said, "Are you also still without understanding? Do you not understand that whatever enters into the mouth goes into the stomach and is cast out in the sewer? But what comes out of the mouth comes from the heart, and these defile the man. For out of the heart come forth wicked reasonings, murders, adulterings, whorings, thefts, false witnessing, slanders. These defile the man. but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile the man. Funny how Satanists are germaphobes. Anyway, and Yahusha went out from there and withdrew to the parts of Besorah and Sidon, and see a woman of Canaan came from those borders and cried out to him, saying, "Have compassion on me, O Adonai, Bane of Dalrith, my daughter is badly demon possessed." But he did not answer her a word. And his Talmudim came and asked him, saying, "Send her away, because she cries after us." And he answering said, "I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and was bowing to him, saying, "Adonai, help me." And he answering said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs." But she said, "Yes, Adonai, for even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table." Yahusha answering said to her, "O woman, your belief is great. Let it be to you as you desire." And her daughter was healed from that hour. Moving from there, Yahusha came toward the Sea of Galilee, and going up on the mountain, he was sitting there. And large crowds came to him, having with them those who were lame, blind, dumb, crippled, and many others. And they laid them down at the feet of Yahusha, and he healed them. So that the crowd marveled when they saw the dumb speaking, the crippled well, the lame walking, the blind seeing, and they praised the Most High. And Yahweh, having called his Talmudim near, said, "I have compassion on the crowd, because they have now continued with me 3 days, and do not have whatever to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way." And his Talmudim said to him, "Where are we to get enough bread in the desert to satisfy such a large crowd?" Yahusha said to them, "Well, how many loaves do you have?" And they said, 7, and a few little fish. And he commanded the crowd to sit down on the ground, and taking the 7 loaves and the fish, giving thanks, he broke them and gave them to his Talmudim, and the Talmudim gave it to the crowd. And all ate and were satisfied, and they picked up what was left over of the broken pieces, 7 large baskets filled. And those who ate were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And dismissing the crowd, he went into the boat and came to the borders of Magdala. And the Pharisees and Sadducees came, and trying him asked that he would show them a sign from the Shamaim. And he answering said to them, when it is evening, you say, fair weather, for the Shamaim is red. And in the morning, stormy weather today, for the Shamaim is red and overcast. You hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the Shamaim, but not the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given, except the sign of the Navi Yana. And he left them and went away. As Talmudim came to the other side and had forgotten to take bread, Yahusha said to them, "Mind and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." And they reasoned among themselves, saying, "Because we brought no bread." Yahusha, aware of this, said to them, "Oh, you of little belief, why do you reason among yourselves, because you brought no bread? Do you still not understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets you picked up? Or the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many large baskets you picked up? How is it that you do not understand that I did not speak to you concerning bread, but to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees?" Then they understood that he did not say to beware of the leaven of bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now when Yahusha came into the parts of Caesarea Philippos, he asked his Talmudim, saying, "Who do men say the bane of Adam is?" And they said, "Some Yochanan the Immerser, others Eliyahu, and others Yirmeyahu, or one of the Nevi'im." He said to them, "And you, who do you say I am?" Shimon Kepha answering said, "You are Hamashiach, the bane of the Most High, the bane of the living." Most High Creator of all things. Sorry, I don't like that other word. Something funny about it. Anyway, Yahweh answering said to him, Baruch are you, Shimon, Bar Yana, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in the Shamaim. And I also say to you that you are Kepha, and on this rock, Kepha means rock, I shall build my assembly, and the gates of the grave shall not overcome it. And I shall give you the keys of the reign of the Shamaim, and whatever you bind on earth shall be, having been bound in the Shamaim. Whatever you loosen on earth shall be, having been loosened in the Shamaim. Then he warned his Talmudim that they should say to no one that he is Yahushua HaMashiach. From that time, Yahushua began to show to his Talmudim that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem and to suffer much from the elders and chief Kohanim and scribes, and be killed, and to be raised again the third day. Kepha took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, Be kind to yourself, Adonai, this shall not be to you. But Yahushua turned and said to Kepha, Get behind me, Satan. You're a stumbling block to me. For your thoughts are not those of the Most High, but those of men. Then Yahushua said to his Talmudim, If anyone wants to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake. Not cross. There's a reason why they put cross in there. Do your research. Anyway. And follow me. For whoever wants to save his life shall lose it. And whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he gains all the world and loses his own life? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his being? For the bane of Adam is going to come in the esteem of his Father with his messengers, and then he shall reward each according to his works. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste death at all until they see the bane of Adam coming in his reign. That line always confused me. I'm going to read this again. This is chapter 16, verse 28. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste death at all until they see the bane of Adam coming in his reign. Chapter 17. And after 6 days, Yahushua took Kepha and Yaakov and Yochanan his brother and brought them up on a high mountain by themselves. And he was transformed before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became as white as the light. And see, Moshe and Eliyahu appeared to them, talking with him. And Kepha answering said to Yahushua, Adonai, it is good for us to be here. If you want, let us make here 3 booths, one for you, one for Moshe, and one for Eliyahu. While he was still speaking, see, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and see, a voice came out of the cloud, saying, This is my bane, the beloved, in whom I delight. Hear him. And when the Talmudim heard, they fell on their faces and were much afraid. But Yahushua came near and touched them and said, Rise, and do not be afraid. And having lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but him only. And as they were coming down from the mountain, Yahushua commanded them, saying, Do not mention the vision to anyone until the bane of Adam is raised from the dead. And his Talmudim asked him, saying, Why then do the scribes say that Eliyahu has to come first? Yahushua answering said to them, Eliyahu is indeed coming first and shall restore all. But I say to you that Eliyahu has already come. And they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they wanted. In this way, the bane of Adam is also about to suffer by them. Then the Talmudim understood that he had spoken to them about Yochanan the immerser. And when they came to the crowd, a man came up to him, kneeling down to him, saying, Adonai, having compassion, please have compassion on my son, for he is an epileptic and suffers badly. For he often falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your Talmudim, but they were unable to heal him. Yahushua answering said, Oh, generation, unbelieving and corrupted, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring him here to me. Yahushua rebuked the demon, and it came out of him. And the child was healed from that hour. Then the Talmudim came to Yahushua by himself and said, why were we unable to cast it out? Yahushua said to them, because of your unbelief. For truly I say to you, if you have belief as a mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it shall move, and no matter shall be impossible for you. But this kind does not go out except through prayer and fasting. And while they were staying in Galil, Yahushua said to them, the bane of Adam is about to be delivered up into the hands of men, and they shall kill him. And the third day he shall be raised up. And they were deeply grieved. And when they came into Nahum, those who received the tax came to Kepha and said, does your teacher not pay the tax? And he said, well, yes. And when he came into the house, Yahushua spoke to him first, saying, what do you think, Shimon? From whom do the sovereigns of the earth take toll or tax? From their own sons or from the strangers? Kepha said to him, from the strangers. Yahushua said to him, then the sons are exempt. But lest we cause them to stumble, go to the sea, cast in a hook, take the fish that comes up first, and when you have opened its mouth, you shall find a coin. Take that and give it to them for me and you. At that time, the Talmudim came to Yahushua saying, well, who then is greatest in the reign of the Shamaim? Yahushua called a little child to him and put him in their midst and said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become as little children, you shall by no means enter to the reign of the Shamaim. Whoever then humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the reign of the Shamaim. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him that a millstone be hung around his neck and that he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of stumbling blocks, for it is necessary that stumbling blocks come. But woe to that man by whom the stumbling block comes. And if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off, throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter into the life lame or crippled, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into the everlasting fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be thrown into the fire of Gehenna. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that in the Shamaim their messengers always see the face of my Father who is in the Shamaim. For the bane of Adam has come to save what was lost. What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, would he not leave the 99 on the mountains, going to seek the one that is straying? And if he should find it, truly I say to you, he rejoices more than over that sheep than over the 99 that did not go astray. Thus it is not the desire of your Father who is in the Shamaim that one of these little ones should be lost. And if your brother sins against you, go and reprove him between you and him alone. And if he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not hear, take with you 1 or 2 more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word might be established. And if he refuses to hear them, say it to the assembly. And if he refuses even to hear the assembly, then let him be to you like a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be having been bound in the Shamaim. Whatever you loosen on earth shall be having loosened in the Shamaim. Again I say to you, that if 2 of you agree on earth concerning any matter that they ask, it shall be done for them by my Father in the Shamaim. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in their midst. Then Kepha came to him and said, Adonai, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Yahushua said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Because of this, the reign of the Shamaim is like a certain man, a sovereign who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And when he had begun to settle, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talaton. And when he had begun to settle, he was unable to pay. His master commanded that he be sold with his wife and children and all that he had, and payment be made. Then the servant fell down before him, saying, Master, have patience with me, and I shall pay you all. And the master of that servant was moved with compassion, released him, and forgave him all the debt. And that servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver pieces. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe me. And his fellow servants fell down at his feet and begged him, saying, Have patience with me, I shall pay you all. But he would not, and went and threw him into prison till he should pay the debt. And when his fellow servants saw what he had done, they were deeply grieved and came and reported to their master all that had taken place. Then his master called him and said to him, Wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt, seeing you begged me. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, as I also had compassion on you? And his master was wroth and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that was due him. So also my Father of the Shamaim shall do to you, if each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. Chapter 19. And it came to be, when Yahushua had ended these words, that he left Galil and came to the borders of Yehudah beyond the Yarden, and large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. And the Pharisees came to him, trying him and saying to him, Is it right for a man to put away his wife for every reason? And he answering said to them, Did you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? So that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what the Most High has joined together, let man not separate. They said to him, Why then did Moshe command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? He said to them, Because of the hardness of your hearts. Moshe allowed you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever puts away his wife except on the grounds of whoring, adultery, marries another, commits adultery. And whoever marries her who has been put away commits adultery. The grounds of whoring, adultery. Yep. Yeah, that'd be enough to divorce. His Talmudim said to him, If such is the case of the man with his wife, it is good not to marry. And he said to them, Not all receive this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who were so born from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the reign of the Shamaim. He who is able to receive it, let him receive it. Then the young children were brought to him to lay his hands on them and pray, and the Talmudim rebuked them. Yahushua said, Allow the young children, and do not stop them from coming to me, for of such is the reign of the Shamaim. And having laid hands on them, he went from there. And see, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good shall I do to having everlasting chai? And he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, my Father. But if you want to enter into chai, guard the commands. He said to him, Which? Yahushua said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, respect your father and mother, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, all these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Yahusha said to him, if you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamaim, and come, follow me. And when the young man heard the word, he went away sad, because he had many possessions. Yahusha said to his Talmudim, truly I say to you, that it is hard for a rich man to enter into the reign of the Shamaim. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of the Most High. And when his Talmudim heard it, they were very astonished, saying, who then is able to be saved? And looking intently, Yahusha said to them, with men, this is impossible, but with the Most High, it is possible. All is possible. And Kepha answering said to him, see, we have left all and followed you. What then shall we have? Yahusha said to them, truly I say to you, when the Bane of Adam sits on the throne of his esteem, you who have followed me in the restoration shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone who has left houses, or brothers, or sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting chai. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. Well, there we go. Y'all take care of yourselves. We'll try to get through this more than a year. I mean, it takes me time to read stuff sometimes because I don't always have the time to do it. But anyway, I hope reading these, helps. See you next time. Take care of yourselves.